Are you yearning to wake up each morning and ignite a new meaning and purpose in life and beyond? Welcome, everyone. I'm Michael McGinnis, an award-winning author, speaker, and educator on human potential, and your host on You Can Do It, Inspiring Growth, Igniting Potential. Life presents us with challenges that serve as catalysts for growth. The pivotal question is, how do we respond to these challenges? Or better yet, opportunities. Do we adopt a victim mindset or rise to become victors? Our goal here is to guide and inspire you to master the most amazing journey you have, your life. You Can Do It starts now. Hey everybody, Michael McGinnis here, back with You Can Do It, inspiring growth, igniting your potential. Right? It's all about making the most out of this life. Right? This is what we have. This is what we know we have. Let's make the most of it. And there are those of you who intrinsically want that or learn it along the way, no matter what that is that prompted you. We're here to help support you on your journey. Well, this session is going to be about how we move forward once we make that choice. If you remember in the last session, we ended on the topic of beliefs and courage, right? That was with the two ingredients that were really instrumental for us to be able to take that leap of faith, right? That risk, that concept of risk, which can become so scary because we are venturing into the unknown. We're venturing into new territory. Not surprising that there would be fear and other things that would be in our way, that would be the obstacles. Well, what counters those? Courage and the belief that we really want to change and that we can do it. Hence, you can do it. Well, in that session, we talked about, the concept of courage. And for those who remember, we talked about the lion from The Wizard of Oz, right? The fact is that we all have it. We just need to get out there and demonstrate it. And that's how we really create that behavior, right? It's a learned behavior. Some of us may not have it. Some of us originate in life and automatically have that sense of courage, but most of it have to develop it, like so many of the new behaviors we want to create. And along with that was that the impact and importance of beliefs, right? Remember the story of the little engine that could. And it was a whole concept that you have to affirm yourself. You have to do that work up front to really create the belief that you can do it. The two ingredients that help you launch this whole stage of growth in your life and to be able to make these leaps of faith. And that's to take risk. And if you can remember my own story with the skydiving, something I feared tremendously, I did to help get me unstuck so that I could continue with my growth and keep moving forward. Well, today's podcast is really going to be about really, again, how to move forward, right? So we've made that leap of faith and we're ready to venture out into this unknown. Well, what are some of the ingredients that we need to really to be able to move forward? And ultimately, if you remember by seeing like on this diagram here, the stage of letting go. Okay, we did this, right? We're elated with what we've done. And we should be, right? That we've made this leap of faith. We've had the courage, the belief to be able to start this effort of growth, and then once that time settles down, it's time to get to the work. Well, how do we really move forward and ultimately let go of what has been so that we can create the new you? So I'm going to base this on a great teacher, Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's incredible. He passed, I think, in 2015. What an awesome teacher. He himself went through a very challenging past, as so many people who become gurus very often do, right? Because we sort of have to hit bottom in order to start making the way forward. And for those that choose to do that and then really to be able to pursue that, that's where we get gifted along the way with all our learnings to be able to now help others conduct the same thing. Well, let's talk about 9 of the ingredients that he referred to as far as how to move forward and ultimately let go. The first ingredient is that you no longer need personal history, right? That's something that so much of us place such a huge value on, what has been. There's great memories in there, but in addition to that, is all the baggage that we picked up along the way. And in order to change, we need to recognize that our past was good to get us to where we are today. But beyond that, it really doesn't serve a purpose. As a matter of fact, it can be a disservice to us because in there is a lot of the junk that we've been carrying around that we formulated over the period of our life. In fact, I love the verbiage that Wayne says about this. And he goes, our past also includes the bags of manure we have bonded with and periodically we use to wipe all over ourselves, right? And I think that's so true, is we're carrying forward stuff that stinks, that doesn't work anymore. But until we change that, until we let go of that past and make that decision that we want to be somebody else, and that we've got to let go, therefore, of those aspects of self that don't work for us. Well, I made many changes myself, and I know I went through, the story of a very difficult past. And it was a period of time of which, I came to that opportunity of which I really wanted to start moving forward. My leap of faith was to get up and leave corporate America at the time to go out there and soul search myself across the world, volunteering all over the place, and to be able to figure out a couple of things. Why did I experience so much pain? And what's the meaning of life? Yeah, that's right. That's what was on my mind. And I had that courage. And remember the story of the skydive, right? To sort of just prompt me to get unstuck and to make some changes. Well, as I ventured out, I realized that I really needed to let go of what was part of my past. And that was the first decision, was I really needed to let go, to realize is that, there was a lot of good, there was a lot of negativity in my past, to accept that for what it was, and now to move on. The second point, merging yourself into the now. Well, this whole concept of the now is incredible. And another great teacher, Eckhart Tolle, who really, in fact, you see here is with his book, The Power of Now. And his whole emphasis is the realization that it's only now what we have, right? That's it, right? The past is just a million moments of now that are in the past. And that's it. That's where they reside. And the future consists of moments that are yet to be. And so why do we spend so much time thinking, worrying about the future or dwelling on the past when the reality is that all we have is now? Again, a powerful, profound concept that takes work. I still work on that concept because it's about truly just living in the moment. The beauty and benefit of it is that once in the moment, there's really no pain and suffering, right? There's only what you're experiencing in this moment, not vestiges from our past that are bringing up old beliefs and causing us to dwell on the past or things that happened to me, poor me, or anxiety about the future or what's going to happen. Well, we're not there yet. That's another now. Let that be a now at that time, and let's focus on right now. Well, Wayne talks about making a move, where he had acquired so many things that he had acquired. And he was making a move and he asked his colleague to sell everything. He had basically used this as a very symbolic effort to remove all the things that he acquired that really represented his past. He had loved the Zen teachings. He was inspired by those and decided to really be able to let everything go and to start afresh. Well, that's realistically what this merging yourself into the now and letting go of the past is. It's about creating a new future and realizing the things that we had in the past are just memorabilia of the past, as is what's in our mind. So much of it, again, are the unhealthy beliefs and things that are going to hold us back. So what we really need to do is to be able to let go of the past and to focus on the now. Point 3 starts with a quote from Einstein. You can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Profound, right? So here we are now into new territory, and we're trying to move forward. Are we going to utilize the same set of skills and mindsets and attitudes and perceptions and beliefs that we had in the past to make this new stride forward? How is that going to work? Well, I saw an example of this. A company I worked for, they hit a wall, right? There's increasing competition, and the competition was doing better than we did. Well, it was interesting because the same people who got us into the problem, right, of not being competitive anymore, now we're trying to solve it. And it just didn't work. So that what they were doing is well, we're going to compete more effectively. We're going to compete stronger. But under what they were missing was underneath it were other issues that they weren't tackling. They weren't really focusing on. And no matter how hard they competed, it wasn't going to resolve this. So it's a case of where we've got to be aware that what we did in the past may not work, particularly when it comes to personal growth. It's about creating a new mindset. I used a great activity from Aaron Dowdy, another great teacher of a strong presence on YouTube, and where he said that you've got to be able to change. And he used this expression, there's no going back, right? And you've got to have that strong kind of a mindset. And in there was a suggested activity, which is beginning to be able to write down the things that were aspects of yourself, aspects of your identity, behaviors or beliefs you did, perceptions that no longer work. Well, I started to write them down, right? And there were lots of them. I was too sensitive. I was too concerned about what others think. I wasn't really able and willing to be able to voice my own opinion because I was so concerned, again, what others think. And again, these all related to this low sense of self-esteem and self-worthiness. So I started to write all of these things down. And then he said, is that now, what are the things that you want? What are the aspects of self that you want to develop that are going to get you to where you want to be? Your new life, your vision of self, what you want to do, a better life, a happier life. All of these are elements that you typically write down when you're starting to create your vision of self. Right. So in this case it helps by writing down these lists because it reminds you is that, these old ways won't help me. They'll only hurt me and probably keep me from growing. So I've really got to be aware of those. This is that growth of self-awareness, so critical to the growth process. And then secondly, is what are the new behaviors that I really need to develop that really are going to help propel me forward? Comfortable with risk, taking risk, courage, developing a new sense of confidence, really liking who I am. And this represented the work that I needed to do now once I took that leap of faith, right? I've got to be able to develop this new sense of self, but that's all possible. And that's what's great. Yes, it's difficult, it's challenging, but that's where the opportunity to grow and becoming our full potential and this tremendous opportunity you experience as you begin moving into that space, you really get the feeling that you are indeed making the most out of this life. What a great perspective to have, particularly as you grow older and start reflecting on your life, right? One of the great things I learned in hospice care is that, it's that sense of really accomplishment, having meaning and purpose. And for those that was missing, right, struggled with the concept of letting go of life. For those who experienced it and identified and had a sense of purpose and real meaning and focused on it and put that front and center, despite all the distractions they experienced, were the ones that died happier. What a great way to go. The next element is admit that I was wrong, right? And this is really a composite of the work that we've done so far, is that, I did all of these kinds of things. And you know what? There were some good things I accomplished in life, and that's great. It got me to where I am today. But you know what? What really didn't work out was the way I went about my life and making decisions and making choices. because of the very things I identified in the prior step, which is the things that don't work anymore. Well, this growth of self-awareness and being able to admit to self that that doesn't work anymore, right? That I don't want to pursue that. You want to cement that in your self-awareness because, oh, yes, you're going to be tempted to go back to your old ways, right? Because it's human nature for us to do that. But you've got to build that strong self-awareness. And that point is I'm not going back, right? Aaron Doughty's no going back. And I love it. It's a thing to be able to remind yourself of that. Fifth thing is sort of the way of which we start going about things. And Wayne states it as changing what you focus on, particularly in your relationships, right? Relationships are key to us today. You know, we have connections with all individuals at work, friends, and whatever primary relationships we have, significant other, et cetera, right? But here is a great opportunity to start helping us change our perception. Because in order to change moving forward, we've got to change those unhealthy beliefs that have formed these unhealthy perceptions about life itself, created attitudes that sort of cemented this way. And unfortunately, as we talked about earlier on, led to these negative self-fulfilling prophecies or patterns in our life. Well, we've got to change that. And one of the great ways to do that is to do that with the people around you. Most of us, you know, we focus on the negative. When we talk about somebody, oh, they're this, or oh, they're that, right? It's that natural tendency we talked about in prior sessions, which is that we tend to focus on the negative and we love drama, right? It's always historically been that way, you know, but we've got to break that habit because if that's the way we're seeing life through, that things are not good, things aren't happy, well, that's how our life is going to be. And there's that expression, you know, that I know Wayne says on it, is that, you know, in effect, it has to do with is that it's what we focus on, you know, is what we experience in life. And if it's negative, well, guess what? We're going to experience more negative. And it's only going to feed that. If we really want to change and be happier, we start seeing things better. Well, one great way to do that is to start seeing the people we have in our life, catch ourselves when we're getting negative about them, right? It's easy to do. It's easy to fall prey to that. Again, we see that in our society, our accentuation on negativity and news and everything, news today. So we've got to break that habit, got to formulate that new habit of instead of looking at what's negative about individuals, what it is positive. What do we really like or even love about these individuals? And instead focus on that. Well, that was something I started to do. And ultimately, I realized it was really giving me the ability to change my perception and ultimately change that perception about self, about my own self-care, self-worthiness, and self-love, right? To start focusing much more on the positive is so critical to be able to do that today. I had the previous session, a podcast on hope for humanity, right? And that was that whole disclosure of our tendency as humanity to focus on the negative. All we have to do is look at news today and see how we're bombarded with negativity all day long. And as a result, we formulate these negative perception, negative views. Is it any surprise that society is epidemic levels of sales of depression drugs and anti-anxiety drugs, right? It's because we're bringing on this, we see this. The reality really is that this negativity is only a tiny small fraction of what happens every day. Just think about it. Think about all of the people that are waking up this day, right? And so many of them are going and they're taking care of their family. They're providing them with breakfast, packing their lunches, bringing them to school, making their way to work, doing their day-to-day jobs. You know, at the end of the day, that's wholesome. That's good stuff, right? That's the stuff that they need to be able to create the building blocks of their life. And they do it day after day. That's good. That's really good. Yet the things that we tend to focus on are the small percentage of things that we accentuate because of, again, our desire for drama. And as a result, we tend to formulate these negative perceptions. The key here is start with our own relationships and how we see the people in our life and those around us. Practice that and begin to start seeing the positive. And as we do that, we ourselves start creating a more positive outlook on life. A positive perception forms, and ultimately a positive attitude that we then start changing, right? We know society is built on misery loves company, and we're prone to that. But if we want to be our full potential, being positive is clearly a big part, and we need to let go of that sense of being negative. Other elements is that treating yourself as if you already are what you want to become. So as you start looking at all of these elements that you did in the Aaron Doughty exercise, right? What you want to be and what are the aspects that you really want to do and exhibit and demonstrate in your life, start treating yourself as, I can do this, right? That little engine that could, the belief, and then do it and then demonstrate it and take that risk of portraying that behavior. It may not work ideally the first time, but keep it up, keep it up. This is what mastering change, right? In order to master growth, you must learn how to master change. The other thing is treasuring your divinity, trusting your divinity, knowing that you are connected to a source. No matter what our belief is and origins of the beliefs, or religion, spirituality, stoicism, whatever the case may be, embrace it. Make that decision is that, what? Still a lot I don't know, but I'm going to operate in the fact that there's a reason to life. There's a meaning to life. May not know what it is, we'd all love to have it defined, but again, it's one of those great mysteries. But as long as we come to that conclusion, to trust that it's there, this is way too much when you really sit back, as I've made that time throughout my life and really pondered and just sat back and observed, living in the now, right? With Eckhart Tolle, living in the now and really just observing nature and the things happening. I said, no, there's got to be something. And then on top of it was these fantastic people that I met and near-death experiencers, other people who had made this dramatic growth and awareness that they had formed along the way. Say, no, there's really something to this. So now I've got to challenge myself. Am I just going to accept that as just some kind of casual belief, or am I going to really sit down and say, no, I believe in this stuff? Well, that's the thing that I realized I really had to do. You know what? No, I'm convinced when I really look at all of the experiences that I've had, and along with that is my own research, everything that others had experienced. There's, massive evidence to support this. And as a result of that, Mike, I got to make a decision. Am I going to stand up for this and believe in this, or am I going to wave on this? If I'm going to wave on this, I'm not going to get anywhere, right? If the little engine said, maybe I can, right? Now, that's not going to work, right? It leaves all this room for failure. I think I can. I think I can, right? And ultimately, I can do it, or you can do it. Number 8 is wisdom, is avoiding all thoughts which weaken you. You got to be aware of self-talk. You got to start listening to what you say and monitor it. Self-awareness is so key. It's so fundamental to growth that once you get it and start applying it, you realize it's like holding a mirror to yourself all day long, right? And it's good. And you realize at first you hate it because, it's like making this work seemingly insurmountable, all these challenges. But the reality is that we really begin to start seeing ourselves. And when we do, and now become aware of the things that we can start doing to change, that's what self-awareness fuels, our ability and interest now in changing and knowing that we can. So this self-talk is something we've got to catch ourselves. And then we stop it, right? It's so easy when others are starting to complain that we venture into that, right? Because what is really driving that? Is it our need for belonging? Is it our quest to have others like us? Well, again, as we're growing, we start seeing these things that are really just holding us back, and make these difficult choices to allow us to become our full potential, the person we want to be. So avoid those thoughts. Be aware of those thoughts. Be aware of the conversations you get into. find some reason or excuse or other things to be able to step aside. And ultimately, you get more and more comfortable that, hey, this is who I am. Instead, I'm now going to start finding people who are really like me, much more positive in scope, have a greater interest, and we can ultimately help support each other. Finally, be cautious about every conversation with others and self, right? It's an expansion of what we just talked about. Stop focusing on particularly what's missing in your life. And instead, focus on developing gratitude. What do I have? Right? If you keep focusing on what's missing, oh, I need more money, or I need more friends, or I need a lover, or I need a better job, right? Then life will constantly be undaunting and will formulate a belief that we're never going to get anywhere in life, right? Instead, we build it on a foundation of gratitude, right? An attitude of gratitude, as they say, that, walk out every day, remind myself it's a great day to be alive. I'm here, right? I'm not in a hospital. I'm fortunate. I'm not having health concerns, that I'm alive. I'm breathing the air. I've got all my body parts moving and working. Some might be sore today or not, but you know what? Overall, I'm here. I'm able to go out there. I live. I've got a home. I've got a setting, whatever it is. There are so many people who would love to have our problems, right? What a great way to look at that, right? Is they'd love to have what we're complaining about because of where they are. And so it's a great perspective to start focusing on what we're thankful for rather than what we're missing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Michael McGinnis here. What a fantastic conversation that I hope helped you to start thinking about the kind of changes that you can make to propel yourself forward, to make the most out of this life. You can do it. That's the message over and over again. If I can do it and so many others can do that, Wayne Dyer did it. There's so many that have done it. You can do it too. It's a choice. It's a difficult choice, but it's the most amazing choice that you can make because why? It's the value to this one thing that you have, your life. Your life. Nobody else's, your life. Hey, everybody, wishing you the best. Be sure to check back every second and fourth Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time for more topics. We'll continue to explore profound, challenging topics that'll help you grow to become your full potential. Love you all. Have a great day. I'm Michael McGinnis, and you've been listening to You Can Do It, Inspiring Growth, Igniting Potential. Tune in every second and fourth Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Radio. As a recognized educator, author, and speaker on human potential, let's learn together how to make the most out of this life and to put a ding in your universe. This is the incredible journey of personal and spiritual growth, self-discovery, and enlightenment. For more information, visit growhumanpotential.com.